Words at War presents 83 Days, the story of Seaman Izzi.
Who?
Izzi.
Izzi. Izzi what?
Just Izzi. It's my last name. Izzi.
Some last name you got. What's your first name?
Basil.
Basil, huh? Your mother didn't like children, maybe. Anyhow, take it easy, Izzi. Lie out flat.
Yeah.
Which of you guys is the Navy man? You, Izzi?
Yeah, me. Seaman second class in my rating. American gun crew on a Dutch merchant ship.
How long were you out there?
83 days.
What happened?
We was torpedoed.
About 4:30 in the afternoon of November 2nd, 1942, a fast Dutch cargo ship was torpedoed and sunk a few hundred miles off the coast of South America. Only a few of the 400 men on the ship survived, and one of them, Basil Dominic Izzi, seaman second class of the United States Navy, was found on a raft in mid-ocean nearly 3 months after the sinking. Tonight, the National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with the Council on Books in Wartime, brings you the incredible saga of Seaman Izzi and his companions. Words at War presents 83 Days by Mark Murphy.
You was torpedoed, huh?
Yeah.
Then what?
Oh, nothing much. Nothing much we could do. We was off watch when it happened. Me and Jowdy, he was my buddy, and Jensen and a couple of others. I forget now. Anyhow, we was playing poker. Jawbone poker. Jensen owed me close to $1 million by then.
How much?
$1 million you owe me. And don't forget it.
Fat chance with you hounding me for it. Come on, deal.
Yeah, you'll wear the spots off shuffling them.
Well, take it easy. I'm dealing, ain't I?
You deal like my old lady.
Don't forget the pot. Ante up.
I forgot.
You forgot?
Yeah.
For 3,000 miles, we have to tell you every time to ante up?
Sure, that's how he won the $1 million. I opened.
I'll play.
I'm in. How many cards?
I'll take 2.
How many?
Me 3.
Okay. Dealer
Boy,
takes 1.
I'd laugh out loud if we got torpedoed now with Jensen owing Izzi
Torpedo! Gee, right under us!
$1 million.
So we caught a fish. That's what you call it, getting torpedoed. You call it catching a fish. A fish is a torpedo, see? Me and Jowdy hit the deck running and checked in at our gun stations, but it wasn't no use. By the time we got there, the ship was so far down by the head we couldn't get elevation on the gun. So we took our shoes off and went over the side. It was cold. The water, I mean. Boy, was it cold.
It's cold!
What do you expect? Steam heat?
Izzy!
Yeah?
That's you, Izzy!
Yeah! Me and Jensen. Who's that?
Me, Johnny! Come over here, this way!
Keep yelling until we find you.
This way! Over here! Here I am!
He was hanging onto a raft. Not really a raft, just some bamboo sticks lashed together. We could hardly see Jowdy, the sea was running so high, but we finally got together all right. It wasn't big enough to climb up on, so we just hung on and watched the ship go down.
There it goes.
And all my clothes on it. I paid $100 for one of my suits. $100.
Too much for a suit of clothes.
2 of the lifeboats got launched before the ship went down. Just 2 of them. We watched while they picked up as many men as they could carry. There wasn't no room for us. It was tough to watch them put up their sails and shove off, leaving us there on the water. They were sorry about it too, all right, I guess. You could tell the way they looked when they went by. They kind of waved at us. And when they were way past, one guy leaned out and yelled back at us.
Good luck!
What'd he say?
Good luck, he said.
We'll need it. Good luck. With a little luck, we could have been the guys on that boat going someplace.
After a while, it got dark. Then it was real tough, real bad. Lots of men died that first night, all around us. We could hear them, yelling sometimes and crying. I heard a man crying like he was a baby. After a while, he stopped. Drowned, I guess. I didn't wish him no harm, but I was glad when he stopped crying like that. It was a bad night. We lay there in the water, clutching onto the raft. It was a bad night. Around morning, we got a kind of a laugh, though.
This guy looking for out of the west.
This guy, see, he was an ensign named Fawkes. He came drifting by on a hatch cover, riding it like it was a horse. And he had a long bamboo pole, and he made out like he was one of them knights. You know, like King Arthur had.
Come on, be gone, you rascal!
Well, when the sharks came around, this ensign would take this pole he had, and he'd stab at them in the water. And then they'd go away for a while. When they came back again, Ensign Fawkes would sock him again with the pole, and all the time he kept on riding this hatch cover like it was a horse. It was a kind of a laugh for a while, until the sun came out. It was tough in the night, but when the sun came up, you couldn't get away from it. You could turn your back to it, and then it would reflect off the water like from a mirror, and it would stab into your eyes like it was going to tear off the back of your head. All day long was like that, just hanging on and cursing and dozing off once in a while, then waking up at the edge of the raft, cutting into your belly, and the sun making scrambled eggs out of your brain. Nobody said much that day. Nobody talked. Just hung on and puked and waited for the sun to go down. After that, things got worse. Everybody started seeing things off their head, even me. The stars were big and close. They looked like the lights on a ship, and they blinked like the blinking lights on a ship. I was sure there were ships all around us. Then I smelled smoke. I noticed a big hole in the water not far off. The guys was going down for a cigarette. And I let go of the raft, and I started swimming away.
Where's he going? Watch him. Where you going, Izzi?
I feel like a cigarette. I'm going down for a smoke. Down to where all those guys are coming up from smoking.
Izzi,
I
come
got
back.
hamburgers. Want I should bring you a hamburger, Johnny?
Not now. Later. Come back.
He brought me back to the raft. A half a dozen times he did that. And I kept seeing things and would swim off. All night it was like that. And the second night. Then when it got morning, I stopped seeing things. But not everybody did. Not Jensen.
Listen, you guys. There's a hill on the other side of the raft.
Jensen.
There's a hill on the other side, and I think there's some German spies who got a place there. Now, I'll bet they're pretty nice guys.
Jensen.
Sure, I'll bet they're nice guys, even if they are spies. We can get us plenty to eat from them, all fixed up. I'll be right back with it.
Jensen, come back.
Let go of me.
Let go.
That's just for that I won't bring you nothing.
Jensen, come back, Jensen. There's no hill there.
I won't bring you nothing. Only you and me, Izzi. That's what you got me.
Jensen!
Jensen, here goes my $1,000,000.
So Jensen went off looking for the hill. There were others. Satterwhite and Ottrip. They swam off looking for a hatch cover. Underneath it was supposed to be a case of beer. And Kasowich, he thought he lost a book.
I gotta get back to my father. I got a book for him, and I can't let it sink because I gotta get it back to my father.
Only there wasn't any book. And after a while, Kasowich let go of the raft. Then there was no more talk about books. It came morning again, and the sun came up. It was like the day before, only nobody had any beans left by then. Except Ensign Fawkes. He was still riding the hatch cover like it was a horse, stabbing at sharks with that pole he had. Only he was getting kind of dopey by then. No sleep. He He'd doze off a little, his head would lean forward. Then he'd start slipping sideways, and then all of a sudden he'd catch himself falling, and he'd straighten up quick and kind of shake his head, and then start slapping at the water with his pole.
Take on! Oh, you rascal!
It was like that all morning.
Take on, you rascal!
Then I saw the raft. The big raft. The one we were hanging on, it was just bamboo. It hardly floated. But this other one stuck up out of the water a couple of feet. It was about 10 feet long. I told Jowdy about it. I said we ought to go over there and get on it.
Too far. You'll never make it.
Come on.
It's too far.
Come on, will you?
Go ahead. You want to go. Drown yourself if you want. It's your funeral. It's too far.
I started out by myself, finally. It was a long way off, and it felt like a year swimming toward it. After a while, I saw I couldn't make it the way I was going, and I swam to get in front of it and figured the current would bring it down to me. Then I couldn't swim anymore, hardly. I just lay there in the water with my legs aching and my life jacket digging into my belly and giving me cramps. And all I could do was lay there, just wishing that big raft would come my way and talking to it like it was human. This way, I'd say. Float a little to the left. A little more. Don't be scared. Left. A little more left. That's a good raft. That's right. That's the way. Left. A little more. Please. Finally, it bumped into me. And I climbed up on it. For the first time in 48 hours nearly, I was out of the water. There were 4 other guys on the big raft. All the rest of the day we spent in trying to paddle the big raft over to where Jowdy and Ensign Fawkes were. But it wouldn't go. It wouldn't go. Well, finally I was so pooped out all I could do was just lay there and look over where the others were. I couldn't see Jowdy and the other guys in the water. I just knew where they were on account of Ensign Fawkes. I could see him, still riding the hatch cover like it was a horse and he was a knight. Every once in a while, he'd start to go to sleep, and then he'd wake up and start poking the water with his pole again. After a long time, I didn't see him anymore. He must have gone to sleep, and not woke up in time. I lay there on the big raft, and I cried.
Once upon a time, there were 3 bears. Mama bear, Papa bear, and a little baby bear.
Like I told you, there were 4 other guys in the big raft. One I knew, Ensign Maddox. He was my gunnery officer on board ship. Then there was Beasley, an American sailor, and Case Vanderslot. He was a Dutchman who could hardly speak good English. The 4th guy was a 17-year-old Dutch kid named Hugendam, Nico Hugendam. Well, you can't go around calling a guy Nico or Hugendam, so we just called him Junior. He was from Holland, and he was crazy about American bedtime stories. All day long, he'd make Maddox tell him bedtime stories.
Oh, look, Junior, I told you this one 5 times already. For 2 weeks, I've been telling you about the 3 bears. Haven't you had enough yet?
I like it. You go ahead. Please.
The little baby bear tasted his porridge, and he said, "My porridge is too hot."
The first month went by fast.
Mama bear tasted
Then the
her
days
porridge.
began to get funny. We were running out of food and water. There was 10 gallons of water and a big can of chocolate when we started, and we rationed it out until it was almost all gone. Then the days got funny. The mornings would go fast. Every afternoon was like a year, waiting for night to come so we could get our little piece of chocolate. And every day, Maddox would tell Junior a bedtime story.
Once upon a time, 3 bears. Mama, Papa, baby bear. They tasted their porridge.
Nine. You leave part out.
Porridge. I could use some porridge myself, whatever it is. Hey, Izzy, what's porridge?
I don't know. Oatmeal, I think. I don't know. And I wish you wouldn't ask me every time you tell that story.
Oatmeal. I could use some oatmeal.
Come, you finish the story.
No more. I'm not going to tell you any more bedtime stories.
Oh, please.
No.
Beasley was the first. After we ran out of food, we took to catching little minnows that came alongside the raft. We did 'em raw, bones and all. Only Beasley couldn't keep him down, so he started getting weaker. You could tell, because it got so he couldn't hear.
I can't hear. I can't hear, Mr. Maddox.
What's the difference? There's nothing to hear anyway, so what's the difference? What do
I
you
can't hear. I can see your lips moving all right. I know you're talking, but I can't hear you. What'd you say?
After that, he started going blind. And it got worse and worse. We'd come up to him and hold up 4 fingers in front of him and say, "How many fingers can you see, Beasley?"
What'd you say?
"How many fingers can you see, Beasley?"
2. Is that right?
No. I'm holding up 4 fingers, see? 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you see them now?
I only see 2.
December 3rd was my birthday. The day before, I told the other guys about it. How I'd never been away from home before on my birthday. Here I am, out in a raft in the middle of the ocean.
Never mind, Izzy. We'll be in New York or Brazil for your birthday, and you can send a telegram home or maybe even call them on the phone.
Yeah, sure, Izzy.
How are we going to be picked up in one day? My birthday's tomorrow.
Never forget. It takes only 1/2 an hour per ship to come over the horizon and come over and pick us up.
Sure. When the boat rescues us tomorrow, we'll tell the ship's cook it's your birthday, and he'll bake you a cake.
Sure. If we get picked up today, we tell him tomorrow is your birthday, and you get cake anyhow.
The next day was my birthday. It rained. Hours went by, and we still talked about my birthday, and it kept on raining. It rained the hardest on my birthday that it ever did while we were out there. They tried to cheer me up.
Oh, never mind, Izzy. We'll be picked up tomorrow, and we tell ship's cook yesterday was your birthday, and he baked you cake just the same.
That afternoon, it rained so hard I couldn't see more than a few feet in front of me. And I cried, my head out in the rain and tears rolling down out of my eyes, because I knew if a ship did come by, they couldn't see us. I was 20 years old that day. Christmas came. We were out 53 days on Christmas. By that time, we were all pretty far gone. I was so thin I could put my fingers all the way around my arm. Beasley was the worst.
I'd like a cigarette, Alice, please.
He just lay there and talked to himself or to people we didn't even know. He was dying. Kees Vandersloot, the oldest Dutchman, kept singing some kind of Dutch song. Nico, the kid, he slept most of the time. Maddox sat on the edge of the raft, turning his head as far as it would go from one side to the other, watching the horizon. Once in a while, he'd beat his hands against the edge of the raft. And after a while, he said,
What's he singing?
Who? Kees? Some kind of Dutch song.
I don't like it. It's driving me nuts. If I knew the words, it might not be so bad, but not knowing the words is driving me nuts. Shut up, Kees.
Me?
Who else?
What's the matter?
I said shut up, I said.
Okay. Okay.
Merry Christmas. Merry, Merry Christmas. Joyeux Noel. And a Happy New Year.
You know what I'd do if I was ashore?
Shut up.
I'd walk down the street and I'd go into the first 5 and 10 cent store I came to, and I'd get me some fig squares. That's what I'd do.
What is this, fig squares?
The little cookies. They get ground up figs inside, you know? And the 5 and 10, They're always fresh.
I never heard of a fig square.
Sure, you know. They're kind of cut off at each end, and you can see the ground-up figs inside.
Maybe you mean fig Newtons. In Lafayette, Indiana, we call them fig Newtons.
Not where I come from. Where I come from, they call them fig squares.
In Lafayette, they call them fig Newtons.
Please, Alice, why don't you help me? I'm over here, Alice. Alice, can't you see me?
On the 66th morning, when we woke up, Vanderslot asked me how Beasley was. All night long, Beasley had been moaning. In the morning, we looked at him to see how he was. He was dead. His hands were out in front of him like he was grabbing for something, and his teeth were showing. We knew he was dead, but we kind of watched him for a couple of hours, hoping he would move. But he didn't. And then we were sure he was dead, and we took off his dungarees and got ready to bury him.
Somebody ought to say a prayer. How about you, Izzy? You're a good Catholic.
All right, I'll say something. Oh, my God, I'm heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell. But most of all, because they offend thee, my God, who are all good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve...
When I say push, you guys push.
My sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. Amen.
Dear Lord, this is our friend. Take good care of him. Amen.
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 He's probably going to a better place. May he rest in peace. Push.
After Beasley died, nothing much happened for a long time. We had a couple of arguments on the raft. It got so Maddox wouldn't talk to Vanderslot, only to me and the kid, Nico. Vanderslot and the kid were sore at each other, too, so the only one on the raft who would talk to Vanderslot was me. When the others wanted to tell him something, they told me, and then I told him.
Hey, Izzy.
Yeah?
Tell him to stop singing.
Nick says to stop singing.
Tell Nick I said for him to jump overboard.
He says for you to jump overboard.
Yeah. Tell him I said no.
He says no. Doesn't seem to bother you much, Mr. Maddox.
What?
I said it doesn't seem to bother you much.
What doesn't?
The Dutchman singing. Used to bother you.
Singing? What singing?
You can't hear him singing?
What did you say?
Can't you hear him? Listen, can't you hear him? Go on, sing some more. Did you hear him?
What did you say?
How many fingers? How many fingers am I holding up? How many?
2. Is that right?
Yeah, sure. Sure, that's right. 2. But I was lying. It was 4 fingers I held up, just like I used to for Beasley. Maddox was deaf already and was going blind, just like Beasley had. He was dying. He lasted 10 days after Beasley. That night, the 76th night, he was groaning away all night. Now and then, one of the Dutchmen would feel him to make sure he was all right. The next morning, the 77th day, when I woke up, Nico, the kid, was watching me.
You awake, you see?
Yeah, boy.
You better look at the officer.
Is he worse?
You better look at him.
Good morning, Mr. Maddox. How's it coming? Hey! Mr. Maddox!
Mr. Maddox!
The village is...
It happened early in the morning. We didn't want to tell you.
We should bury him right away, I think.
Yeah. Take off his wedding ring. He used to talk about it. His wife told him to be sure to come back with it on, or else it would be bad luck.
Yeah, then maybe we should leave it
on. No. His wife will want it.
Pete Pine, Pete Pine.
So we buried Maddox at sea, like we had Beasley. This time we watched his body. His hair was awful long by then, and it floated out in the water, and we could see him drift past us and then back 50 feet or so, his hair floating out in the water. And something jarred him. His hair fluttered in the water, and we didn't see him anymore. Then one morning, Vanderslot woke up Nick and me.
Listen, you guys.
What?
Listen.
I can't hear anything.
Yeah.
There it is. A plane. A plane.
A plane.
He started yelling at the plane, waving, standing up and then falling down. I just lay there, sick to my stomach. I couldn't hear the plane engines. I knew what that meant.
Here we are.
I put up 4 fingers in front of my face.
Here.
I could still see 4, but they were blurred.
We're here.
I was next.
He didn't see us.
Anyhow, where planes are. Maybe the next one.
He didn't see us.
We saw 2 more planes that morning, just scouting, not looking for us. They were just scouting. Then early in the afternoon, Vanderslot, the Dutchman, he saw some smoke. He rubbed his eyes and he said,
I don't know, but I think I see something on the horizon.
We couldn't see anything, but later on we saw it. We saw 1 ship, then 2 ships, then 4 ships. A convoy. It just went along the horizon. We just looked. And then Vanderslot said,
If this misses us today, I'd jump overboard.
There were planes flying around the convoy, and the first ship was a destroyer. We wanted to try and stand up, but we kept falling down. The destroyer kept going fast around the convoy, and then we noticed some smaller boats, some PC boats, sub-chasers.
Yeah.
Then a PC boat headed right for us.
Stand up, Case. Come.
Yeah.
Wave the flag at them.
Hold me up.
Yeah,
Hold me up.
you here.
They're coming.
Yeah,
Should
what
we
are
yell?
you doing? Tell us what are they doing?
Should we yell?
Shut up. Hold me up.
See, I'm holding you. Tell us
What are they doing? What's happening?
Shut up.
No,
Shut up, will
Tell
you?
me what's happening,
They're
will you?
coming closer.
Yeah.
Shut up! They see us. They see us. What's the matter with them? They're pointing a gun at us.
Yeah. They're going to shoot us.
No, they ain't. Look, they're flying an American flag. They're going to pick us up. They picked us up. We wound up the day in clean sheets. The 83rd day we were on the raft. 3 months. Later on, a guy from the Coast Guard came down to feed us. He fed us like we were babies, with a spoon.
Take it easy. What's your name?
Izzy?
Izzy. Uh-huh. Izzy what?
Just Izzy. It's my last name. Izzy.
Some last name you got. What's your first name?
Basil.
Basil, huh? Your mother didn't like children, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyhow, take it easy, Izzy. Lie out flat.
Yeah.
How long we out there?
83 days.
What happened?
We was torpedoed.
As the 17th program of Words at War, we have brought you passages from the recently published book, 83 Days, The Survival of Seaman Izzi by Mark Murphy. This book tells the true story of Basil Izzi, Seaman Second Class, an ex-baseball player from South Barry, Massachusetts. The radio adaptation was by Edith Summer. Seaman Izzi was played by Paul Mann. Others in the cast were Paul Gordon, Tom Hoyer, Kenneth Lynch, Myron McCormick, Bill Quinn, Jackson Beck, and Glenn Anders. The original music was composed by Morris Momorsky and conducted by Max Goberman. The production was under the direction of Joseph Losey. Next week, Words at War will bring to you passages from Paris Underground by Etta Schreiber, who with another woman organized an underground railroad smuggling British soldiers out of conquered France. Words at War is brought to you in cooperation with the Council on Books in Wartime by the National Broadcasting Company and the independent radio stations associated with the NBC network. This program came to you from New York. This is the National Broadcasting Company. Words at War presents Paris Underground by Etta Scheiber.
Jacqueline. Oh, Jacqueline, what is it, child?
I can't stand it, Madame Scheiber. I must get out of here.
Hush, my child. The guard will come.
I don't care. What can be worse than this? Freezing in this cell huddled together. No chance to wash, nothing to eat.
Shh, hush, the guard. Hush.
What's going on here?
Oh, it's nothing, guard. One of my cellmates just had a nightmare. She's asleep now.
Well, keep her quiet.
Madame Scheiber?
Yes, Jacqueline.
I am sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Try to sleep now.
Yes. Yes, I will. I have some sleeping medicine I smuggled in. I guess the Nazis are not so smart as they think. There. Madame Scheiber?
Yes, dear?
Hold me tighter. Talk to me. Then I won't feel so lonely.
Why, of course, child.
How is it that you are in a Nazi prison in France? The rest of us I can understand, but you, an American.
Well, often lying here at night, I doubt that it really happened to me. It was all so strange. Would you like to hear the story?
Oh, yes. Yes, Madame Scheiber. Tell it to me.
The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with the Council on Books in Wartime, presents another program of Words at War, which brings to radio important war books. Tonight, one of the most amazing true stories of this war, the story of Paris Underground by Etta Scheiber. In a cold, miserable prison cell, Etta Scheiber is bolstering the courage of her co-prisoner, Jacqueline, by telling her the story leading to her imprisonment. An experience Mrs. Scheiber herself found hard to believe had happened to her.
You see, Jacqueline, I'd always had many friends in Paris. My husband was a newspaper man, and he'd often taken me there. When he died, my best Paris friend, Kitty Beaurepos, cabled me to come and live with her. Two rather settled ladies living in Paris. What a happy time we had. 3 years. Then the war came. As the Nazis marched on Paris, we tried to drive south, but the roads were jammed. They were not clear till Nazi dive bombers machine-gunned the crowds to clear the way for the German army. For a whole day, we sat and watched endless columns of stony-faced, gray-uniformed troops pass by. Then we were ordered to return to Paris. At a little wayside inn, we stopped and begged for something to eat.
Madame, 1 million people have been through here in 2 days. There's nothing left. Nothing.
Now, come, Kitty, let's go on.
Monsieur, a cup of tea is all we ask.
I have no tea. Nothing at all.
I see. Thank you.
One moment. This way, please. Into the back room. Be seated, ladies.
Better.
I've remembered I have a little tea.
Oh, tea, Kitty.
And some salami. A little.
Monsieur, you're very kind.
And some cheese. Oh. Also, I think a little sugar for the tea.
Sugar? Monsieur, we don't know what to say. We were starved.
You are English, madame?
I was, but I'm a French citizen, since I married a Frenchman. My friend here is an American.
Then you can do something for me. My English, it is not good, and I have someone here who must leave at once. But he will not listen to me. Wait here.
What's this, do you suppose?
An English soldier, no doubt. If it is, he hasn't a chance of escaping. They are sure to get him.
Here is the man.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is William Gray. I'm a pilot, RAF. I'm in a bit of a jam. Got caught at Dunkirk. Couldn't get away. I've been working my way south, but the Germans have moved faster than I could. And now
Now you're completely surrounded by them.
Yes. Well, I don't want to trouble you, ladies, but if you will tell this French chap to be patient a while longer, I will go as soon as he can get me some civilian clothes. I'll be able to take care of myself after that.
You're wrong, Pilot Gray. You haven't a chance in the world of getting away. And if you must be captured, then you'd best be in your uniform. That way they'll treat you as a prisoner of war. In civilian clothes, they'd shoot you as a spy.
Oh, Kitty, no.
Yes, Etta, they would.
Looks like my goose is cooked. Well, thank you anyway.
No, wait a minute. I have an idea. Etta, our car. The luggage compartment looks as...
Kitty, you're crazy. Why, the Nazis have been stopping cars all day. They'd pick him up before we'd gone half a mile.
Still, if we could get him to Paris, he might have a better chance. Mr. Gray.
Yes?
As my American friend here would say, how would you like to join us in a game of cops and robbers? The whole German army will be the cops. We three shall be the robbers. I think it might be rather fun.
We felt brave and pleasantly adventurous then. We didn't know what we were getting into. German patrol stopped our car, but none looked in the luggage compartment, which opened into the space behind the back seats. And so we smuggled Bill Gray into an apartment occupied by 3 middle-aged women, Kitty, myself, and our Breton maid, Margot. He'd been there 2 days when Margot simply froze the marrow of our bones.
The German Gestapo. It is searching Paris, house by house, for hidden soldiers.
Kitty.
It's no use, Etta. I've been everywhere. I've made guarded inquiries until my tongue is dry. But no one can, or no one will, tell me anything.
But, Kitty, there must be an underground railway, some means, some system of getting men to unoccupied territory.
Yes, but just try to get in touch with it. Where's Bill?
He hid in the bathroom and he heard you at the door.
He mustn't know it, Etta, but the Gestapo is getting closer and closer to our building in their search.
Yes, he suspects as much. He wants to give himself up to save us in case they find him here.
No, he mustn't. I was told today that the Germans are not treating captured British soldiers as prisoners of war any longer. They're shooting them as spies.
The Gestapo net drew tighter and tighter around us, and we waited day by day. Waited for that knock on the door that would mean discovery. And then one evening, Kitty fairly bounced into the apartment, her face one heavenly smile.
Etta, Bill, it's fixed. Our troubles are over.
No!
What's happened?
Margot? Margot,
yes, madame.
bring coffee at once, and 3 cups. We've got to celebrate.
Yes, madame, I have it on the stove already.
What on earth has happened?
Etta, do you remember Chancel? We met him when we worked at that soldier's canteen.
Oh, of course. That big husky veteran of the First War.
That's the one, yes. Well, Chancel is a member of a combine that's getting French soldiers out of the country to fight for the gold.
No. How do they do it?
They have one of their number in the police prefecture here in Paris. He gets them all the papers they need to keep the men out of jail in Vichy, France.
Yes?
And then it's just a matter of smuggling them across the demarcation line. And they have another man who owns an estate right on the line. So that's easy, you see. The estate owner just has to pay 50 francs a head to the German sergeant at the border patrol.
So, the supermen aren't above taking bribes.
Why, it's too good to be true.
But it is true. Tomorrow, Chancel will bring us Bill's papers. We'll apply for gasoline to visit hospitals and prison camps with parcels, and we'll use that gasoline to drive Bill to the demarcation line.
Oh, I don't know how to begin to thank you for...
Who's that?
Shh. Could it be your friend, Chancel?
Margot.
Yes, madame, I have the coffee ready here.
Put it down, quick. See who it is.
Yes, madame.
Better. Quick, take Bill into your room. Try to hide him somewhere. Wait a moment. Take this third cup with you.
Got it. The Germans are here.
Soldiers?
No, civilians.
Gestapo. Etta, hurry. Don't be silly, Margot. Don't keep the gentlemen waiting. Bring them in here.
Bill, leave the door open a chink so we can hear.
But where can I hide?
Oh, in the bathroom, under the bed.
I can't hear.
What was that?
I knocked something off the dresser in the dark.
It's my brother's picture, Irving. He died here 2 years ago. He's such a wonderful brother, Irving.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Scheiber.
Oh, dear. Why am I telling you things like this now? Good heavens, I have an idea.
Etta, this gentleman wants to see your room.
That does it.
No, he doesn't. Get undressed quickly. Now, don't argue. Get undressed and get into bed. Pretend you're very ill. Just leave the talking to me. Here, tie this towel around your head. Hurry now. I'll give you just 30 seconds. Oh, coming, Kitty. Coming right now. Well, did you call me, Kitty, dear?
Yes, Etta. Gentlemen, this is my very dear American friend, Mrs. Scheiber. She's been living with me in Paris and finds herself an unwilling victim of the war. Far from home. Like yourselves.
I'm from the Gestapo, Madame Scheiber. Wish to examine your room.
Well, by all means. You'll have to excuse its appearance, however. My brother's in bed. He's quite ill. Afraid he may have contracted intestinal flu. There's so much of it in town now. I hope you won't disturb him.
The light, please.
It's all right, Irving. Just some official business. Don't try to talk, dear. This is my brother.
His papers, please.
Oh, certainly. They're right here in the drawer. There we are. This is his passport.
Yeah, this picture.
Picture? Oh, of course. Poor Irving's been quietly raving all day, not being able to shave. Now, don't you worry, Irving. I'll get you to a barber tomorrow.
His identity card, please.
Here it is.
This card is expired. Why wasn't it renewed?
Well, we intended to go back to America because of the war. We would have gone long ago if his health had been better. It just didn't seem worth renewing it under the circumstances.
Mm-hmm. I see. Your own papers, please.
Yes, here they are.
Hmm. Yeah, very well.
Oh, I'm terribly distressed about Irving, Kitty.
Oh, I do hope poor Irving wasn't upset by our visitors, Etta.
No, he didn't mind.
Kurt,
Jawohl, Herr Hauptmann.
the list of tenants, please.
The concierge has it. You, concierge, get over there.
Oh, yeah.
Very well, come on, woman. Tenant list for your house.
Oh,
Chapelle, Alexandre, Lozé, Aber. I do not find the name of Madame's brother on this list.
Madame's brother? Oh,
Answer me,
well,
woman. There's his name.
Goodness, it's no crime to forget a name, is it? Irving isn't a regular tenant here. He's only been here since he was ill, and he needed someone to look after him.
Right, madame. I addressed my question to the concierge. Well, woman?
I am sorry, sir. I forgot about the gentleman. He never asked me for a certificate of domicile, so he is not on my list.
I shall add his name myself, then. Are you upset, Madame Beaurepaire?
I? Oh, you mean my heavy breathing. Asthma.
There. Now, keep your tenants list correct from now on, concierge. Come, we shall leave. Allez, toi.
Next next day, with Chancel's help, we smuggled William Gray out of occupied France. I'll never forget how free from worry I felt that following day. And when Kitty returned from doing some work at the canteen, I guess my feelings were reflected in my eyes.
Well, you do look good, Etta.
I feel fine. And so will you, after you've had a cup of tea and some rest.
Yes.
Say, look here, I expected you home much earlier. What took you so long?
Oh, I found I had something else to do.
Oh, you always have.
Perhaps I'd better tell you about him.
About him? Kitty, what have you been up to?
I had to do it, Etta. I had to. He was walking along the road. I could tell he was an escaped soldier from the way his civilian clothes didn't fit him. I had to offer to help him. He was a French officer, escaped from a prison camp. I popped him into the luggage carrier.
Kitty!
Well, now look at her. By tonight he'll be on his way to join General de Gaulle. And then it'll all be over. It's as easy as that.
Kitty, do you realize you risk your life when you do a thing like that?
You're quite willing to risk your life too, Etta?
Well, yes, but... Oh, Kitty, promise me not to get into another adventure of this kind. Will you?
All right, I promise. Where's the paper?
Over there on the lounge.
Etta.
Hmm?
Look at this.
What is it?
At the back of this newspaper here, this personal advertisement.
Jonathan Burke is looking for his friends and acquaintances. Address Military Hospital, Doullens-Somme. Well, what about it? I've seen hundreds like it.
Yes, so have I. But Jonathan Burke... That's English. Perhaps he's one of the boys from Dunkirk trying to contact friends who could help him escape.
Kitty. Yes, Jacqueline, as you probably guessed, we helped Jonathan Burke escape from the military hospital at Doullens. Brought him clothes and sneaked him out in broad daylight right into the luggage carrier of our car. Then drove him to our own apartment. Or rather, Kitty did all of this. I just went along and kept wringing my hands in fear. Then, 2 days later, Kitty took me for a drive. But, Kitty, this is the way to the Doullens Military Hospital.
Yes, of course.
Are you crazy?
No, dear, don't you see? By going back to the hospital, we'll be likely to divert suspicion from ourselves.
Kitty Boripo, didn't you see the look we got from that French major who's running the hospital?
Oh, Etta, dear, you worry so. As a matter of fact, I have another reason for going back to Doullens.
Another reason? Oh, Kitty. Oh, no, you wouldn't.
But I must, dear. That poor, sick Corporal Meehan. He knew we were helping Lieutenant Burke escape the other day. He made me promise to come back and help him escape, too.
Mother of mercy. Kitty, how long are we going to walk back and forth through these wards? It's too bad we didn't have a chance to talk to Corporal Meehan when we were in his ward, but we just can't go back there now without arousing suspicion.
Shut up.
I won't shush. We'd better get out before that French major sees us.
All right, Etta, all right. Here, let's make for that door over there.
That's the first time you've talked sense in weeks.
Permit me to introduce myself, ladies. Major Thibault.
Major Thibault?
You ladies have honored us with your visit before. It is really very kind of you to take such interest in so small a hospital.
Well, you see, Major...
Would you be kind enough to answer one question? Where is Lieutenant Jonathan Burke?
Why, you must be a mind reader, Major. We've been through the whole hospital looking for him.
Our conversation will be shortened if you will be intelligent enough not to deny you helped him escape. I know all about you, your nationalities. I can understand your sympathy with these British soldiers who are prisoners. However, we are concerned with decrees. You have violated the laws established by the High Command of the occupying force. The penalty for your crime is death.
Major, I assure you...
We have absolutely no...
You are impressing no one. It is my duty to hand you over to the authorities, which at this time means the German army. I am a soldier. It is my habit to obey. But I'm not only a soldier, ladies. I am also a Frenchman. That is why I have not yet reported the disappearance of Lieutenant Jonathan Burke.
Major, I don't know how to tell you.
Don't try. But I warn you, such a thing cannot be tolerated again. You must leave this hospital and never come back.
Thank you, Major. I'm very happy to have met another real Frenchman. Good day, sir. Come along, Etta.
You will pardon me, ladies, if I take the precaution of escorting you to your car.
That was too close for comfort. You see, Kitty, now, how right I've been to insist that you stop taking these chances.
I know, Etta, you're perfectly right.
It's too bad, of course, that we couldn't help more of the men. Some look so tragic.
Yes.
That sick Corporal Meehan who watched Jonathan Burke escape. You know, today he looked at us so pathetically. Oh, if we'd only had a chance to speak to him and explain.
That wasn't necessary, Etta. I slipped him a note when we entered his ward. Corporal Meehan is in the luggage compartment of our car right now.
Yes, Jacqueline, that was Kitty. The most amazing woman I've ever known. I'm sure that Providence took a personal interest in our work, for it went on for months and months. The Gestapo set all kinds of traps for us, but we were clever enough, or lucky enough, to evade them. We were put in touch with a country parish priest, Father Christian Ravier, who had nearly 1,000 British soldiers escape from Dunkirk hiding in the woods. He became one of us.
These men don't know French, so they would be helpless alone. We must send each of them on his way paired with a Frenchman.
Oh, but, Father, that means more and more people will know what we're doing. We'll have to trust so many.
What you don't realize, Madame Schreiber, is that all Frenchmen are with us. Only a very few serve the Germans. Have no fear, Madame Schreiber. All France is on our side.
So we went ahead. We smuggled out 150 Britishers and 150 Frenchmen, pair by pair. Then one evening, I was alone in the apartment except for Margot. The doorbell rang, and Margot answered it.
We wish to see Madame Schreiber.
Who is it, Margot?
There's no need of introduction. You remember us.
Wait. Well, you two are the Frenchmen we sent out of the country with the Britishers. Oh, you shouldn't have come here, especially when you've been drinking.
That is all right, Madame. Quite all right.
Well, why did you come back to occupied France?
Why? We gave Vichy a try, didn't we? Conditions are just as bad there. No work, no jobs, nothing.
Burke? Jobs? Is that why you crossed the line?
Oh, you did not think we were fools enough to join the goal, did you?
Please leave my apartment
Not
at once.
so fast. We wasted a lot of time getting those two fellows you sent with us out of the country. We demand that we be paid for our time. Understand?
Get out of here. Both of you. Get out. Margot, show these men out.
Come on, out with you.
Wait. Before I go, Madame Schreiber, may I suggest you read this poster?
Out with you. What does it say, Madame?
10,000 francs reward. The German High Command will pay 10,000 francs to any person providing names and addresses of those engaged in hiding English soldiers or aiding them to escape.
Oh, Madame, you do not think that those two men would...
Sell us out? 10,000 francs is a lot of money, Margot, and anyway, these boys are no good.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes?
You're under arrest. Where are the others of your gang?
Gang? I don't know what you mean.
Never mind, Mrs. Schreiber. We'll get them. Have you ever noticed that when a string of pearls breaks and one of them drops off, the others follow, huh? It seems we have broken the string.
Follow they did, Jacqueline. First myself, then the others.
For the priest Christian Ravier.
Death.
For Monsieur Chancel.
5 years of hard labor.
Monsieur Tissier.
4 years at hard labor.
Mrs. Etta Scheiber.
3 years at hard labor.
And for Madame Kitty Borepeau.
Death.
That is the story, Jacqueline. But for people like you, it carries a message. A message which reads, don't give up. Never lose the things that distinguish freedom-loving people from those born for slavery. When Father Ravier faced that enemy court, they expected him to beg for mercy. Instead, he told them,
You think you have beaten France. Well, France is still at war with Germany. The generals surrendered to you, but the people did not. You will never win the war. There are 30 million in France against your 2 million soldiers. I do not expect to win justice in a court conducted under the sign of the swastika, but I know that in the end, divine justice will prevail.
That's what a simple parish priest told the Nazis, the so-called conquerors, before they sentenced him to death, Jacqueline. Now, you and I must try to have his courage. Don't you agree, my child? Jacqueline. Jacqueline. Jacqueline!
Oh, what's going on here? What's the matter? Oh, I see.
She's dead, God. Jacqueline's dead.
Well, she seemed to be healthy enough last night. What is that smell? Oh, poison, huh? A suicide. Huh. Well, small loss. I will have the body taken to the morgue. You, Scheiber, comfort me.
But I don't know anything about it.
Oh, it's not a suicide. You're going to be released, Madame Scheiber.
Look out,
released?
Madame Scheiber. It might be another Nazi trick.
Shut up, you! Come, Madame Scheiber.
No, it wasn't another Nazi trick. They did release Mrs. Scheiber, and she is here at our microphone, the author of Paris Underground in person, to tell you just why the Nazis let her out of prison. Mrs. Etta Scheiber.
The Nazis released me from prison not to do me a favor, but because they wanted to use me as part of a bargain. I was exchanged for the notorious spy, Johanna Hoffman, former hairdresser on the line of Bremen. When I was told this by an American official, I said what I believe, that Germany got the best of the bargain. Johanna Hoffman is certainly more valuable to the Germans than I ever could be to the United States. My dear Mrs. Scheiber, that official said, suppose the British government in the last war had had a chance to exchange Edith Cavell. Well, he was wrong there. I'm certainly no Edith Cavell. But my friend Kitty is. I only followed where she led. And she is paying very dearly for all she did. I do not know whether or not the Germans have put her to death. But I shall go on hoping that the God of justice will continue to remain at her side. And whenever my heart begins to ache with loneliness for her, I have her last words to sustain me. The words she spoke before they separated us.
Don't worry about me. I am not sad. I did what I had to do. I knew the price and I was willing to pay it. I have given England 150 lives for the one she's losing now. Think of that when you think of me. And when the war is over, go to England and walk along the embankment of the Thames in the spring where I always used to walk. I will be with you. See if you can find some of the boys we sent to England. Tell them that as I once helped them, now they must help me. They must carry on the work I can no longer do by continuing to be what they have always been, enemies to tyranny, unwavering defenders of freedom.
As the 18th program of Words at War, we have brought you passages from Paris Underground with the personal appearance of the author of this outstanding bestseller, Etta Schreiber. The book was adapted for radio by Richard McDonough of the NBC staff. Irene Hubbard played Etta Schreiber. Joan Alexander was Kitty. Others in the cast were Adelaide Klein, Sharita Bauer, Peter Capel, Stephen Schnabel, Bertram Tanswell, and Jack Lloyd. The original music was arranged from French and English folk songs by Morris Momorsky and conducted by Max Goberman. And the production was under the direction of Joseph Losey. Next week, Words at War will present another adaptation of an important war book. Words at War is brought to you in cooperation with the Council on Books in Wartime by the National Broadcasting Company and the independent radio stations associated with the NBC network. This is the National Broadcasting Company. Words at War.
How far out now, Navigator?
About 80 miles off the shore of Umnak, sir.
Uh-huh.
How's the gas?
That's low. If you don't turn back soon, we won't get back. How about it, Bart? You seen anything?
Not a thing, Lieutenant. If this blasted fog would clear, I could.
Not much chance of that, son. If we ever flew on a clear day, I wouldn't know how to find our way home.
Yeah, what climate. This year, come to the fog-draped Aleutians for a soggy vacation. Hey, we better turn back soon. We're past that good old point of no return right now. Hey, wait a minute. Through that break in the fog. See it? Where?
Holy cow. Jap ships. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ships and more. Say, that's an invasion fleet.
Hey, let's get going, Lieutenant. We got some news for the boys back home.
I wish we had a couple of bombs.
Look out, here comes a Zero. 5 o'clock.
It's close. He hit us all right. If I can just make that cloud bank before he can get back.
Lieutenant, they got Eddie.
Oh, bad?
It's okay, Lieutenant. Just get back to base with that message.
Don't worry about that kid. It'll take a lot more than a Zero to stop us now.
Words at War. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with the Council on Books in Wartime, brings you another in its series of radio treatments of important books of this war. Tonight, our book is Corey Ford's first-hand account of the war in the Aleutians, those fog-shrouded island stepping stones that Mr. Ford has so aptly termed the shortcut to Tokyo. And here is the story in Corey Ford's own words.
History can turn on a very small hinge. On the 3rd of June, 1942, a Navy PBY patrol ship commanded by Lieutenant L.D. Campbell spotted part of an approaching Japanese task force and got word back to Dutch Harbor in Alaska. But the Japs that day were planning more than just the capture of Dutch Harbor. Make no mistake about that. They were planning the actual invasion of our Pacific Northwest coast. The Japs had planned well, and they meant business. But there was one thing they didn't know. Not until it was too late. I didn't know it myself, back there in Dutch Harbor, as I crouched in a shelter with an American bomber pilot named Wally Marvin. Jap high-level bombers, scores of them, were high above the base, dropping heavy explosives and incendiaries.
That last one got the oil tanks. Look at that smoke.
And those Japs sitting up there in the clouds. For the first time in my life, I wish I was a pursuit pilot.
What good would that do you, Wally? There isn't a P-40 within 1,000 miles of here.
No? Don't bet any money on that. Keep your eye on those Jap planes.
I see them tearing Dutch Harbor to pieces. Look at them, circling for the kill.
Ought to be any minute now. Yeah, look. Coming out of that bank of clouds up there behind them.
Planes! Jumping! Jupiter, those look
That's
like...
what they are, son. American pursuit planes. A whole mess of them.
They've stopped the bombing.
Go after them, gang. Give them the works.
Look, they got one. See that smoke from the engine?
We're going to get them all. They're stunned. They don't know what hit them. Look at him come.
Yeah, it's going to hit right near here.
There's one that won't bomb again.
They're running, Wally. They're getting out of here.
Don't worry. They won't get back to their ship. They're licked, and they know it.
Yeah, but where'd those P-40s come from? There's no army base anywhere near here. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, sure. That's what Japanese intelligence thought, too. It's a little surprise we had for them. Honorable intelligence let those vulnerable flat tops of theirs walk right into a trap. Well, that's one time honorable intelligence was cockeyed.
It was a victory, but I didn't realize how much of a victory until I stopped in at the radio shack. I found the operator sitting there listening with a broad grin on his face.
Hi. Come on in. Hey, listen to this. I'm tuned into their wavelength.
What, the Japs?
Yeah, the ones we didn't shoot down. Listen, there's one of them.
How come they're using their radio during an attack?
Well, don't you know what happened? I just got the report. As soon as those Jap carriers found out we had a secret airfield here, they stampeded and ran. They just left all their planes hanging up there in the air. Listen to that guy now squealing, will you?
What's he saying?
I don't understand Japanese, mister, but I don't need an interpreter to understand that. Can't you just picture what he's saying?
Whereabouts carrier, please? Gas very low. Only a few minutes gas. Fog very thick. Whereabouts carrier, please? Gasoline tank empty, please. No more gas. Must come down and see. Whereabouts carrier?
Matt, that was a Jap plopping into the sea. He's the 16th one I followed down.
That ended the Jap dreams of an Alaskan conquest for the present. Their scattered task force put in at Kiska and Attu and settled down to consolidate. But our job had just begun. Now the long months of aerial slugging began. From their new bases all that fall, winter, and spring, our pilots bombed and strafed the enemy whenever the weather allowed. Whenever the weather allowed. That was the catch. In the Aleutians, you'll find the foulest, dirtiest flying conditions anywhere in the world. Let Wally Marvin tell you something about that, as he told me.
It's the weather that's our real enemy up here. The fog and the wind and the cold. The fog hangs like a blanket over these islands, day after day, week after week. Believe me, I'd rather see a zero in the air than that 0-0 weather on the ground. But we have to fly just the same. We have to fly when even the birds are walking.
Yes, Wally's right. Did you ever hear of a willowaw? It's a wind. Cyclone would be a better word. They come up in a couple of seconds, and they blow 80 miles an hour. When the planes are on the ground, they have to weight them down with oil drums. They even tie them to tractors, but it doesn't do much good. That willowaw hits, and they all get smashed. Now, with this weather around here, they practically have to use a 500-pound bomb for a windsock. Don't get the idea that the weather, bad as it was the only hazard those kids of ours had to face. Listen as Technical Sergeant L.O. Gardner tells you of a typical bombing mission, his baptism of fire.
This was my first mission. I was pretty excited. We just left the field, and I turned on my indicator switch. glancing at the panel to see that all bomb stations were lit. Everything was okay, so I slipped on my headset and called the pilot on the interphone. Bombardier to pilot.
Lieutenant Mora, go ahead, Gardner.
I'd like permission to test my machine gun, sir.
Go ahead. We'll be over the target in about 45 minutes.
Yes, sir. Any further instructions?
Yeah. There's a rock off the island just ahead. Let's make a run on it and drop one of our bombs to warm up, eh?
Okay, sir. I'm ready. I opened the bomb bay doors and waited for the red light to go on so I could put the control lever in selective. The target came up. I toggled off one bomb and leaned forward so I could follow it down. I saw a brown, streamlined shape fall away from us and waddle down into the water just short of the target. Closing the bomb doors, I called the pilot. Bombardier to pilot.
Mara, go ahead, Gardner. How'd we do?
Just short of target. Everything okay, sir?
Good. It won't be long now.
Now that we were getting close, I began to check all of my instruments over and over. My heart was beating a little faster. I felt warm. I kept wondering whether or not I'd be afraid. Then, off in the distance, we could see Kiska Island, very obscured by mist. My left hand froze on the bomb bay door control and my right hand on the gun. We flew in a large circle to the right. And suddenly, on the horizon, 2 ships.
Pilot to crew. See 'em, boys? That's our target.
My heart was pounding furiously and my breath was coming hard. We were going to run in low at mast height. I wondered about the Yak-Yak. At 30,000 feet, anti-aircraft doesn't worry you. But at 50 feet, your neighbor's little boy could knock us off with a BB gun. Our whole formation got ready for the run.
Pilot to crew. Get set. This is it. Good luck and give 'em all you've got. Tail gunner to pilot. Good luck, boy, and at 'em.
Bombardier to pilot. We're all set, Lieutenant. Let's get 'em. We began to nose down for our run. I opened the bomb doors and got ready. Varying our altitude from 15 to 50 feet. Dodging, bobbing, skidding, we closed in like a pack of hungry wolves. The ship, who was a destroyer, seemed to rush up to meet us. We were almost on our target. As the destroyer loomed in our faces, I called the pilot. Bombardier to pilot. Hold her steady. I toggled 3 times. Then, bombs away. Let's get out of here. We pulled up. I looked down and back at the ships. Our target was spouting huge sheets of flame and smoke. There was an explosion almost every 10 seconds. The second ship was wallowing in a ground swell, sinking by the stern with black smoke pouring from her. I looked around at the rest of our formation. I could only count 3 other planes. Bombardier to tail gunner.
Melvin, go ahead, Gardner.
Hey, Melvin, did they get 2 of our planes?
They got 1. I saw it go down. Pilot to Bombardier. Never mind, Gardner. Good shooting. We got 2 Jap ships. Let's go home.
No medals passed out for that raid. No pictures in the papers. No heroes made. Just a good day's work done. The mission was a success, so the boys buzzed the field before landing when they got home. But it didn't always work out that way. I remember one raid my friend Wally went on. I was in on the briefing of that one. You see, each morning after breakfast, the combat crews would gather in the alert hut to hear the day's mission briefed. They'd pile out of the mess hall, zipping up their fleece-lined leather flying suits, and grope their way to the hut through the inky blackness of an Alaskan winter morning.
Come on in the hut with us, Mr. Ford. Did you ever hear a mission briefed?
No, this is my first one, Wally.
Me, I've logged more hours in here than I have in the air. Oh, we're the last ones in. Close the door, will you?
Okay, boys.
That's the briefing officer.
Okay, guys, shut up.
Now, here's the dope on today, if and when. We're going to climb to about 9,000 or 10,000 on the way out.
We'll go north of the chain, come around the volcano to Pillar Rock, turn in towards the island, here on the map, and make a 90-degree diving turn. All flights javelin right. First element will use 6,500 base altitude. Second element, 5,500. Start your bombing run about here. Now, the first element will take the hangar, the second, the subbase. Use a loose formation except against fighter opposition, in which case we'll close up in regular tactics. Shipping in the harbor gets first priority, of course. Remember, on your bombing run, the co-pilot will maintain airspeed. The pilot flies the ship. Rendezvous 5 miles north of this point, here. We'll have fighter coverage. In case a pea shooter gets in trouble, you, Wally, lead it back to the base. Maintain radio silence on the way out. Standard frequency. Any questions?
Will we have much zero opposition?
I think so, yes.
How about anti-aircraft?
Well, the official communique will state as usual, I hope, that there was no anti-aircraft fire. But look out for those gremlins. Well, that's all, boys. Sync your watches.
Okay.
Yes. We should hear about the weather sometime within the next hour.
Okay.
Well, that's about all for now. There isn't much to do now but wait.
That was that.
How about meeting some of the boys?
Yeah, sure, I'd like to.
See that little guy over there working on the jigsaw puzzle?
Yeah?
That's Sammy, my bombardier. He's quite a guy. Come on over. Hi, Sammy.
Hi, Wally. Hey, this is the screwiest puzzle I ever seen. I'm thinking all along it's probably the picture of a beautiful dame, and now I find this here piece. Look, a cowbell.
Sammy, this is Corey Ford. He's a writer.
Oh, glad to know you.
Hello, Sammy.
I thought you could tell him the story about your girl.
Oh, yeah, that, well, that's kind of pathetic.
You see, Mr. Ford, Sammy's in love with a girl back in New York. As soon as he got his bombardier's wings, he got engaged to her, so he went downtown to buy her a ring.
Sets me back 500 smackers, see? But when I tell the jeweler I'm a bombardier, he claps me on the back and he says, my boy, I'll knock off $100 for every bomb you drop on Germany. So that's swell. So what happens? So I get sent to Alaska.
That's tough luck, Sammy.
Yeah, it shouldn't even happen to Hitler.
Hello? That's the weather report. If it's favorable, we go.
Yeah, and I never find out whether this is a dame or a cow.
Yeah? Yeah? Fine. It's on, boys. Get to your ships.
Well, that's it. So long, Mr. Ford. We'll be back for supper.
Come on, Willie. Hey, don't nobody touch that jigsaw. I'm going to finish it when I get back.
The kids yank their zippers shut, grab briefcases and charts, and pile through the door out onto the field, jostling and talking. The planes are already on the line, warmed up and ready to go. The crews pile in, and they're off into the dark of the morning. I stand there at the door of the hut and watch them go. It's a queer feeling. It's sort of a catch in your throat as they disappear, one by one. It was a tough mission today. I stand on the field as they begin to come in, straggling. Usually, as I said, they buzz the field when they get back from a mission. But today they come in quietly, plane by plane. I watch Wally's ship land and taxi to a halt. I turn to the sergeant who heads his ground crew. Doesn't look so good, does it, Sergeant?
It doesn't look good at all, sir. Lieutenant Marvin's okay, though. I can see him in the cockpit.
Look at the holes in that plane.
Yeah.
Here's your ship, Sergeant. Take over.
Thank you, sir.
I'm afraid I didn't do the plane much good.
No, sir, you sure didn't. There must be nearly 100 holes in it.
Hello, Wally.
Oh, hello, Mr. Ford.
How was it? Anybody hurt?
Bombardier's dead.
Sammy?
Yeah, little Sammy. You won't have to worry about that engagement ring anymore.
Yes, Sammy was dead. It was a bad mission, and none of the boys talked about it very much. You always get a reaction after a thing like that, even when you didn't go through it yourself. I felt sort of weak in the knees as I went back into the hut. I looked over at the table where Sammy's unfinished jigsaw puzzle lay. Another kid was sitting there, laboriously piecing the thing together while he waited for his orders. I left the hut without saying anything. Did you ever stop to think what Christmas is like up there on a lonely battlefront, half a world away from home? We had a Christmas party up at the base. I'll never forget it. There aren't any trees on the Aleutians, you know, but you must have a tree for Christmas. So the boys went out behind the camp and gathered armloads of green tundra moss. They fastened it together with baling wire in the shape of a small fir. Somebody sprinkled shavings from a bar of soap around for artificial snow. And for Christmas tree decorations, they hung some empty .50 caliber shells, salvaged from the floor of a bomber just back from a flight over Kiska. They even fashioned a Star of Bethlehem for the top of the tree by folding a red cellophane gas mask cover. It was one of the nicest trees I ever saw. The long, narrow mess hall was crowded. The men sat on the tables and along the benches and on the floor, with their shoulders propped against the muddy knees of the row behind them. Shaggy, unshaven, their rain-soaked parkas dripping, their soggy boots leaking little pools of black water under the rough boards. We were waiting for the festivities to begin. Some of the boys were talking about their favorite subject, home.
You know, you think of funny things in a place like this. You know what I was just thinking? I bet my toothbrush back home is still hanging in the same old place beside the wash basin.
I was thinking about my mom's fried chicken. Boy, you have never tasted fried chicken till you've tasted hers. If I was home right now, you know what we'd have for dinner? Oh, sure, fried chicken. But there'd be mashed potatoes and gravy, too, and hot biscuits. For dessert, maybe we'd have peppermint candy stick ice cream. My mom makes it herself. And I'd probably have to turn the freezer for her. Well, that's a tough job. But I'd get to lick the plunger later.
Well, I live in Texas. My ma'd have a pecan pie for dessert. Man, no pie in the world can touch her pecan pie. That's the first thing I'm going to eat when I get back. No dinner, just pecan pie.
Well, what I'd like most is to see my wife, my son. I've never seen him. He was born right after I left for here. See, that reminds me, Mr. Ford. You could do me a favor if you would.
Sure, Wally. What is it?
Well, when we were back in Anchorage, I made a record for my son on one of those recording machines in the music store there. You're going back to the States soon. Maybe you could take the record back to my wife. I know she'd like to have it. When the kid gets old enough, well, you know.
Sure, Wally, I know. I'll be glad to do it.
Well, thanks a lot.
All right, fellas, let's start the celebration.
Celebrations. It was the night before Kiska.
Christmas is a time for exchanging gifts. I'm sorry, fellas, but there just aren't any. The mail from home hasn't come yet. You all know how those things are.
Brother, do we know?
I wish I could put a package under the tree for each of you. But, well, I just can't. I did manage to dig up a few things over at the PX, though. It's not much. Not enough to go round, of course. But it is better than nothing. That's why each man was handed a slip of paper when he came in. We're going to raffle off the presents we have. Watch your tickets. If you hear your number called, why, just sound off.
What a break. Look at my number, 13.
How do you like that? Christmas and bingo all on the same date.
All right, fellows, here's the first number. It's 27.
Hey, that's me. 27.
Good. Just step up for your prize.
Well, come on, unwrap it.
Here you are.
Hey, what did he get, I wonder?
I don't know. This is very big. I bet you one thing. I bet you it isn't a bottle of scotch.
Hey, you ain't kidding. Hey, say, that's great, Chaplain. Thanks. Hey, fellas, a box of matches.
Here's a cigar. No. Here's the next winner. Let's see. It's number 145.
I got it, sir.
Look, Wally, it's your ground crew chief.
Oh, the lucky bum. I wonder what he gets.
Hey, Chief, look at this. It's a bar of soap. It's not GI soap either.
Here's another one. Number 13.
13. Who? Number 13. Bingo. Oh, boy.
Here you are, sir. Here's your present.
Thank you, Chaplain.
Hey, what'd you snap?
What is it, Eddie?
Hey, give me a chance. Let me see. Oh, I should have known. That number 13. What do I get? An address book and no woman for 1,000 miles.
Hey, I know what game's for me.
All right, fellows, all right. We still have a few more presents to give. But first, let's try a carol, shall we? Here's one we all know. Oh, little town of Bethlehem. Sing it out so we can all hear it. Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
That was Christmas in the Aleutians. We didn't have any turkey or plum pudding because, you see, there were no boats. Our menu that day consisted of bean soup, lukewarm stewed tomatoes, boiled potatoes, which had been frozen and which no one ate, bread without any butter, and Vienna sausage. But I was eating it with our Air Force combat crews. I was sitting elbow to elbow with those men in leather flying suits who were fighting our unknown war. And it was the finest Christmas dinner I ever had in my life. The hardest thing to get used to when I got back to the States was the sun and the absence of the fog. The weather gets to be a part of life itself up there in the Aleutians. Yes, and of death, too. Got sort of a catch in my throat every time I saw a little boy sitting in the sunlight, because then I'd get to thinking about Wally and his son. I'd brought that record back with me as I'd promised, the one I'd picked up at the music store in Anchorage on my way home. I had to bring it to Wally's wife. I think about that record quite a lot, and what Wally had said on it. I can hear it now.
Well, son, you're growing up pretty fast. You'll be a big man soon, so I thought on your birthday today we ought to have this little talk together. There are a lot of things I want to tell you, boy.
The record went on that way for a little bit.
Be a good boy.
Wally told his son all the great plans he had for him. You know the sort of thing.
Remember the things she says.
I'll never forget the way it ended.
Well, when you grow up, David, maybe you'll have a son of your own. And I hope he means as much to you as you mean to me. And I hope when you grow up there won't be a war and you can be with your son instead of way off here in Alaska somewhere. I've never seen you, David. You were born after I came up here. But I hope I'll get to someday. Be a good boy, son. Take care of Mama. Goodbye. Bye. 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 Bye.
I never found out if the needle stuck that way when Wally's wife played it. I always hoped it didn't. Because, you see, it was goodbye. Wally wasn't coming back. I never knew just what happened to him, but his plane crashed into a mountain in the fog. That's all. Wally was a good pilot. There isn't a Jap pilot in the world that could outfight him or outfly him. But an enemy he couldn't fight beat him. The fog. Maybe it sounds trite to say that those kids didn't die in vain, Wally and Sammy and the others. But it's true just the same. They beat the Jap and they pushed him out of Attu and Kiska. The weather will be on our side now. We've built many strong new bases up there, and more men have come to fight that unknown war. Fresh-faced, clear-eyed kids who know their business. They're fortifying and preparing a chain of stepping stones that may become our shortcut to Tokyo.
As the 19th program of Words at War, we have brought you passages from the bestseller by Corey Ford, Shortcut to Tokyo. The book was adapted for radio by William Welch. Corey Ford was played by Alan Bunce. Les Damon was Wally. Others in the cast were Ken Lynch, John Gerard, Art Carney, Paul Mann, Norman Rose, and Ted Reed. The original music was composed and conducted by Morris Momorsky, and the production was under... Next week, Words at War presents passages from Who Dare to Live, a narrative poem by Lieutenant Commander Frederick B. Watt of the Royal Canadian Navy Volunteer Reserve, which has been adapted for radio by Neil Hopkins. This program came to you from New York. This is the National Broadcasting Company.